Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope. This is a horoscope for Sagittarius. I'm sorry, I've been crying a little bit, and it just every time I'm about to start, it starts to come back up. But yes, this is a horoscope for Sagittarius. And if Sagittarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so we have the Queen of Discs, which is very much like, the Earth Mother. Right? This is the discs dwells within the Malkuthian sphere, which is the element of earth, right? And so we have that kind of Gaia energy. Okay, let's go ahead and see what the tea leaves are going to say. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Now we have this large dove. So immediately I feel like a sense of relief, of peace, kind of pouring over the lands. Like the clouds have parted, the sun is coming through, and there's just this moment of, yes, I can breathe again. Yes, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. I'm going to do the dang thing. I know that I can. I have all of the tools that I need, all of the know-how. I'm a talented, clever being. I'm resourceful. I'm agile. I'm versatile. And I feel it, and I feel it rising. And I feel this sense of where I have been worried, where I've been worrying, and I've been worrying. It's all starting to dissipate. Your gaze, if you could think, like you're gazing upon all of the problems, all of the what ifs, all of the, complexity, the conspiracy of things. And I think that's what I feel here, is that there's almost a sense of like something going on that you couldn't quite put your finger on, but you knew something wasn't right. And you struggled with that, maybe even for months or years. I mean, it feels like this thing has been going on. You've been trying to figure it out. Maybe it's not what you're always thinking about, but it feels like it has burdened you. And sometimes it comes up, and sometimes it comes up so profoundly. But I feel like there's a sense of the page turning. Maybe there's a resolution here, maybe there's not. Maybe there's just really kind of this, I'm gonna have to just accept that I don't know. I'll have to just kind of be okay with that. And with that, I think really comes a bit of peace and maybe it's like the door, right? The door is open. Maybe it's not flung all the way open yet, but there's a crack. And I feel you deciding. You're deciding, I'm going to open this door. I'm going to go on to the next thing. I am going to begin this other part of my life. Because I deserve that. Because that's what I want. And so I do. I feel that there is a freedom here. There's a freedom. And actually, I think it's quite reiterated. We have another bird in flight. I want to keep going a little bit here. Now we have an X right here. So I do feel, ooh, and we do have a scorpion over here. So I do feel that maybe this was maybe a troubled situation. Maybe it was that it was with an ex. Maybe this was with somebody who, well, you trusted. You decided to have a life with them. You know, you put everything into this. And, you know, what happened? I don't know. Maybe they weren't who they said they were. Maybe they weren't who they thought they were. Maybe they lied. Maybe they lied and lied and lied and they lied and they lied. Maybe this is infidelity. Maybe this is financial infidelity, you know, controlling. Maybe you just could never get to that point, you know, where you could just be yourself with them. You might think, wow, that's silly, you know, especially if it's something that you were in for years. But I think that happens. I think that people, you know, they get married, they get into these long-term relationships, and sometimes you just never get to that place where you can open yourself completely. You can just be whatever you are. For better or worse. But I feel like, you know, there's something here where you decided to choose yourself, choose your peace of mind, choosing to get out of an oppressive situation. And look, it could even be, you know, that you find yourself in a relationship with somebody who, yeah, you like each other, you get along, everything's pretty good, nothing crazy, right? It just is good enough, right? But there's just something about being with this person that feels so confining. You just never have the space to be not just yourself, but so much yourself. And I feel you out of that, getting away from it, deciding. And I see a person here traveling. You can see the head, the arm, whatever this is, maybe an axe, and the moon behind their back. And deciding, I'm going to take up for myself. I'm moving on. I'm going into this next part of my life. And dang it, I am going to flourish. I'm going to find my things. I'm going to find my people. I'm going to find the place that feels like home. Because I deserve that. Because that's what I want and that's what I need. And maybe it is that nobody understands why you're doing this. Maybe your family loves your partner. Maybe the family loved your ex. Maybe, you know, to them everything seemed perfect. And they think, wow, what's going on? Why would you do this? Why would you walk away from something so good? But you know. And anybody, I mean, really, anybody should know that a relationship can look like anything from the outside, but we never really know what it's like for the people who are in it. We can guess. We can even see, you know, they have everything. Oh, they have a family, they have kids, they have a good house, they have, you know, everything's so easy for them. And yet, they're living in hell together. You know, and the opposite is true as well. We might see a couple and think, my goodness, I'm glad I'm not in that relationship. They're always, you know, bickering and you know, back and forth and this and that, and how tiring. And then yet, they have the closest bond you could ever imagine. They are beloved unto each other. In those moments, unseen, you know, they're just absolutely bonded into one another. You never know. And so in this situation, you know, I wonder if people around you have questioned why you're doing what you're doing. But you know, I have to do this for myself. I have to do this for my own well-being, for my growth, for my evolution of spirit, emotionality, and definitely in the physical world as well. Because it feels like whatever this used to be, or whatever this is that you're leaving, there's always like, it's like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're always waiting for this person to kind of move against you. And that's why I see that Scorpion. And I think, you know, listen, I think a lot of us have been in these relationships, and we all kind of know when you can't really rely on somebody, right? Not completely. Not where it matters. And that can be so heartbreaking. Because, you know, I think so often we do. We love these people. We love them. And most things, yeah, are pretty good. But where it really matters, and that is lacking, what a rot that becomes. But all is not lost, because I do believe this is leading to a most magnificent new cycle. And I want to go over here real quick. I want to look at our Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. Well, I want to ask these Oracle cards kind of, where are we? What is this doorway going to kind of lead to? Okay, so we have assertion. Yeah, and I think that's just about the leaving. Well, that's about the deciding, right? And you've decided, and you are, walking in that direction, staying the course, asserting your will. Enterprise, okay. So, yeah, and this one does not surprise me at all. I want to do the last one real quick. And then empathy. Okay, so Enterprise. I absolutely feel like as you have departed this thing, as your life has changed, and maybe, listen, maybe you got divorced 5 years ago. right? And you're still sorting out kind of where your life is leading. And that's okay. Sometimes for some of us, like myself included, we take our dang time getting it together. But I feel you finding a lot of meaning in work, and probably maybe starting like this little business for yourself, doing like a side hustle, learning a skill. Okay, maybe you already do. Maybe, you know, you I don't know. These two things are so opposite. They just came to mind really quick, but they don't really make sense. But you like went to school to be an electrician and that's what you do. And now you're like, hey, let me get into HVAC, which I can't imagine why, you know, maybe an electrician would be like, have these cross disciplines, but they're very involved, each of them. So my goodness, you'd be quite masterful if that's the case. Maybe you're like a contractor or something, but something, right? Maybe it's like you, well, maybe it's like you do hair, right? And you decide, hey, I'm going to go off to this clinic. I'm going to go back to school to specialize maybe in color, or maybe, you know, I don't know, get really skilled at being like also an estheticianist, which is also a very separate and involved career, but makes more sense, right? You're probably working in like a salon or something, and yeah, it'd be good to know how to do multiple things. But whatever it is, I see you finding a lot of confidence, being in this place where it's like you're not being dragged down by your correlation to another person. You're thriving, doing your thing. You're focused. You have that fire, that belovedness for yourself. You know how excited we get for our kids when they're like learning something new, or they want to try, you know, a new thing. My daughter, she's doing dancing, starting dancing pretty soon, and she's so excited, and I'm so excited for her. And of course, I'm gonna do whatever I can to, like, you know, promote her interest in this and get her in class, and, you know, buy her a little outfit and take her to the ballet so she can, you know, really be immersed in all that stuff. That passion that we have for our children, now we apply that to ourselves. And we live in a world, especially if you're a woman, and we live in a world where when you focus on yourself, on your needs, on your, you know, desires, it's so selfish, right? The world thinks, oh my God, what a self-involved person. How selfish. Well, she's just, you know, so into herself, so self-important. Well, good. Good, you should be. You should be in love with yourself. You should love yourself and be as interested in and supportive of the things that you want to do as you would your child. As you would your child. Right? Don't feel bad about it. Don't. I'm telling you right now. I know, the guilt is real though. But I think this is where this empathy really does come in. It's not just an empathy, it's a radical self-love. It's a radical self-love. I remember reading something a while ago about how rebellious and revolutionary it is to be okay with yourself. To not only be okay with yourself, but to really love yourself. Put yourself first. And I'm not talking about in some, where you're neglecting your other relationships and you're treating people poorly and, you get into this false bravado or ego persona, whatever. That's not what I mean. I'm not talking about that, and not talking about narcissism, which is a word that gets thrown around too freely, but not that, right? But to really, really care for yourself. You know who I think of when I think of this energy? And I implore you, if you like this kind of music or not, but I think of Lauryn Hill. Okay, do you remember Lauryn Hill? She was in the Fugees in the 90s, right? This rap group. And then she left and nobody knew what the heck. Why. They were on top of the world. She could have been, Beyonce, basically. Or, well, she wasn't, a pop star, but kind of a pop star, but not really this, whatever. She could have been the thing, right? She had that kind of whatever that is. And she walked away from it. And people thought, my gosh, that lady is bizarre. Selfish. Well, listen to her album. It's the Unplugged one. It's Lauryn Hill Unplugged, I think. And this is after all of this happened. After she walked away, she went solo. Then she kind of didn't really do a lot publicly. Didn't release a lot of music or whatever. And she did this Unplugged, and it is. I won't say that every aspect of her worldview or ideas about life or whatever, I don't necessarily agree with each of them, but it's art. And what I got from this, and what I love listening to that album, especially when I'm feeling a little bit like I'm, wavering in my life a bit, or feeling a little bit lost, or not in touch with my strength. But to do what you need to do for yourself, because this is not the right course for me. This is not the right place. I'm not supposed to be here. And no matter what other people think, or they understand, or they wish for you, or they want from you, or whatever it is, you stand in the face of that. And you do your own dang thing. You learn to love yourself. To choose, not against yourself, but to choose for your betterment, your evolution. No matter what that looks like. Because it's going to be different for each of us. And it will be different. What I would have chosen for myself to promote my life and the betterment when I was 20 is a lot different than when I'm 40. And it's going to look different, right? It should, hopefully, right? So, this is the energy. This is the energy, and I love it. And it is that Earth Mama, that Earth Mother, that place where we go to lay our head, where we sleep, where we dream, where we are healed through our rest. We sit on her lap, we put our head down, she holds us against her bosom, and she takes care of us. She watches us through the night. We are loved, we are protected. And sometimes we have to be the one to love and protect ourselves. So let's take a look over here. We have, it looks like a person pushing a cart, shopping possibly. We have a heart up here. We also have the fish. So I feel like there will be money coming in. Money coming in, and I feel like this is a place where maybe you have worried about some of your basic needs. Or you have been, you know, having to go with a little less so that you can pay for what you need to. The bills, the lights, the, you know, the stuff for the kids, grandkids. You know, and maybe you haven't been able to do as much for yourself. Or, you know, you've been kind of cutting back drastically. But I feel like in this next segment of time, there will be a flow of money coming in. And this could be very much about this business that you want to start or you have started. The skills that you are working to increase and being able to, have some upward movement in your career. And so I see this all coming together, all of it coming together. And let me just say, and I'm looking at this and it says OF, and I'm thinking, I'm not talking about you getting an OF, if you know what I'm saying. This is not the job although listen, no judgment, right? No judgment, no judgment. If that's what it is, then cool. 100% I support you. But that's not what I'm like, what is this? What are we talking about here? But I almost feel like it is, I almost feel like it's like a name, but you know, maybe it's the initials. But I'm looking over here and I'm seeing a person feeding chickens. And it feels like a masculine energy. And I'm wondering if this is a family member who has, and I'm going to close this up because I don't want to look at it while I'm doing this. I want to get into that place in between. I almost wonder, grandfather, I don't think you knew them. But I think that maybe they were a farmer. Or they kept livestock or, you know, even just chickens in the backyard. I almost feel like this is when the world was changing, right? And a lot of people went to work at like factories or they went into the city to get, you know, big, fancy, important jobs and, you know, more kind of working in offices and, you know, whatever, this kind of thing. This family member decided to stay. Maybe it's something that was like generations of living in the same place or keeping, you know, maybe it's the farm. They decided to keep the farm and keep it going. And I almost feel like people in the family thought, okay, this is a fool. You're talented, you know how, well, listen, I've learned this so clearly moving to the rural country. From living in the city. And I think, you know, I don't know that everybody feels this way, but I think often when you live in the city, you think you are, and I did, this is me. I felt, oh, so worldly. I know how to do so many things. I know about so much stuff, right? I just absolutely. And then there's, you know, people out in the country and they just kind of, you know, they don't have the opportunity to be you know, exposed to so many different things, and they must be real small-minded and, you know, live little lives and whatever. And it's very, kind of a very, well, bigoted kind of thinking, right? And quite offensive, really. And so as I moved further and further into smaller communities, I went from, you know, a huge metropolis to a city that was maybe like, you know, 50,000. And then I went down to another little town that was, you know, I forget, it was maybe like 2,000 to nothing, to a couple scattered neighbors. And over these years, what I've learned and what I needed to learn is that, yeah, people out in the country know how to do a lot of stuff. They're very intelligent people, you know, they're very skilled, a lot of them. Now, I'm generalizing, but when you live somewhere, you learn, right? You have to learn. You have to really, the world will show you. Whatever you thought, you were wrong. You were just going off of assumptions, kid, you know, and not ones that are anywhere close to reality. And so I almost kind of feel like this. I'm looking at, when I was looking at the bull, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's like somebody who, almost like people in the family felt like they just, you know, living in the olden times, can't evolve, right? And I think there was a period of time, and maybe this was even like when, you know, a little bit before I was born, in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s, definitely. But really this kind of move away from that kind of living and for a lot of people. And I don't know, now I think there's maybe a resurgence, right? I think a lot of people are realizing, well, we're getting further away from the earth. We're getting further away from, you know, having lives that were very involved in every aspect of, right? Getting our food, growing our food, harvesting, you know, preparing, enjoying the food and doing it again and again. And, you know, in every aspect you can think, even, you know, before I had my daughter, I was like hand washing all of my clothes. And it would take me a couple hours, you know, and during those processes, I would think people used to have to do every single thing for themselves. They'd have to do all of it from the top to the bottom. And we live our lives now with everything automated. Everything, you know, we just expect it to happen, to be there, ready for us, you know. And when we've gotten away from just the very, very basic things. And so I'm looking at this and I'm feeling like this is a person in your family who they held on to some part of, you know, what was meaningful to them. And I feel like there is a kindredness that you have with this particular person who I don't even know that you ever met. It doesn't seem like it. But there is a bond. This is one of the ancestors that stand right at the front of the line for you. And very much with you. And you might not recognize that totally. But I'll tell you what, if you go and look through some old photographs, some old, you know, memory books, or, you know, go see your grandmother, or maybe your mom or dad, they have all the things that your grandparents had, or whatever. Look through the pictures, and when you see them, you will know. This is the person. This is them. I know them. You know, they are with me. They walk with me, right alongside me. And I think that you have that same earthy spirit. And that's really what it comes around to. You know, is I feel you drawn back to the land. All right, let's do our gratitude affirmation card. hidden gates. I am appreciative of my curiosity. With gratitude, I follow my intuition down magical pathways that lead me to the hidden gates of creative discovery. Practice what stirs your inquisitive nature. Take a moment to follow your curiosity today and see where it leads. Enjoy your time of discovery. All right, Sagittarius, if you would be so kind as to like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe. Yeah, it's free to subscribe. I need to change up my ending, my beginning with the like, comment, subscribe. It gets so long, and I really don't like doing it, but I have to. I have to. The algorithm demands it. And sometimes actually I think people just don't really remember to, you know, try to do some of those things. I know that when I'm watching video, I watch a lot of YouTube. Absolutely. That is my, that is my thing. You know, we have other streaming stuff, but gosh, I feel like every time I have a moment and I'm gonna watch something, I go right to YouTube. And shout out, I want to shout out my favorite YouTuber right now. And I have to remember exactly what the name is because I don't want to say it wrong. And I think it's, oh yes, it is Flesh Simulator. Go check him out. He's amazing. He makes really good music too. Flesh Simulator. He does like conspiracy stuff and other things. His whole vibe is really cool. Really good content. But anyways, what was I saying? I don't even know. Oh yeah, so I was talking about having to do the things. Yeah, and you know, I don't like to have to do the reminders, but you know, when I'm watching a video too, I forget. Like, I can comment, I can say something, I should subscribe to this, and then they say it in the video and I'm like, oh yeah, let me do that real quick, you know. So hopefully that does help a little bit. But anyways, I love you. Take care of yourself. We're gonna talk in a few days. Good night.